as promised, I am going to be kicking off 2021 with a brief overview of what we can expect and what is going on and what is coming up in the year ahead. I'm just making sure my other phone does not ring whilst I do this. So I'm just going to give a couple of minutes for people to show up. I might be doing maybe a kind of like a follow up, especially for those of you who are in the United States and also Australia, New Zealand. But we'll see whether or not I have the energy to do that. For now, what I am doing is I'm basically just, giving a little bit of time for people to show up one by one before we get started and proper. So just so you know, I went to get my computer repaired. Dude said it was repaired, but it was not. So it's still acting like it's trying to be an extra on The Exorcist. So I'm doing my best with what I got. So, let's just first start with a recap of 2020. I mean, this entire year has been all about Thereus for me. It's been all about minimizing our vulnerability. It's been about having situational awareness. It's been about protecting what is real and what is raw and what is true to the heart. And that did not change at all through the year. And in fact, next year there's going to be a lot more of that as well, but we will get to that. But this year has really forced all of us to confront our vulnerabilities, especially as it relates to people, authorities, institutions, family systems that have to do with the way we hold power. And so many of us have really seen the veils part, and we have discovered how, sometimes it's because coronavirus has forced us all into isolation, or it has forced us to really sit with the people that we may have been avoiding for a long time. But a lot of us have woken up to the truth of just how a lot of these configurations of power do not serve the cause of the innocent, do not allow safe spaces for vulnerability, and the kind of decisions that we need to make to find such safe spaces. So that was a huge theme of 2020. And of course, many other collective things have happened, but I don't want to get into all of that now. Moving into 2021, yes, there's a vibe, there's a hype. I'm certainly a lot happier that year was done, but that doesn't mean that the work ends. It doesn't mean that things are mysteriously just going to fade away because, hey, Saturn, Jupiter's and Aquarius, hallelujah, everything's going to change. No, that's not how it works. If anything, we have been given a greater opportunity to fight. We have been given a greater opportunity to transmute energy by working with individuals who are on the same frequency as us, finding our soul tribe, finding our soulmates, finding whatever it is that we need to push through the change that needs to happen. So that's really the opportunity that Saturn and Jupiter is giving us. There is no guaranteed outcome. I know people like to say, yes, this will happen, but you know what? If you don't do anything, nothing will happen. So basically, it's an opportunity for all of us to step up and to find what it is that we need, the people we need to connect with, the ideas that we need, the tools that we need to create this global safety net. And that's what I really see is going to be very, very, very needed in the years to come. I mean, yeah, sure, I can just look at 2021 for you and go, oh, wow, there's so many opportunities for people to come together and do things, and everything's going to be great. But if you wanted that, you would not be following me. So I've looked at the year, even though my computer is trying to audition for Linda Blair and The Exorcist. I've looked at the year. And I have looked at what Thereus is doing, what Boracity, the false light, is doing, what Ixion, the tyrant, is doing, because they're really shaping collective reality very, very, very heavily. And more than that, I think for me, this year is kind of like a filler. It's one of those years in between where we have the opportunity to break the old so that we can actually create new parts of unfolding and new parts of emergence. The reason why I say this is because Jupiter is already headed into Pisces in mid-2021. And then, yes, it has its retrograde and then it re-enters later in the year, but we're already seeing the stirrings of Piscean energy coming through. Now, a lot of people want to think that Saturn and Jupiter entering Aquarius together is the start of the age of Aquarius. I would say that is naive. We still need to do so much of work in clearing the bedrock, in clearing the energetic foundation that has led up to the fuck up that is current reality before we can claim to truly be in another age. Sure, it's a catalyst, but we're not there yet. So when we look at the next, when we look at this, this is this next year, I can say up till about February 18th or so, everyone's going to be on the buzz. Everyone's going to be on the, yeah, we made it, we did it. But come February 18th, we're going to be seeing more of that old Piscean vibration come back in and say, hello again. Do you remember me? And in fact, that's what, if I had to summarize the year ahead, I would say there's going to be a lot of encounters with Thereus because Thereus is going to be retrograding in Leo for the first 8 months of the year. January to August 2021, Thereus is going to be back in Leo. Your heart, what you love, who you love, what you consider vulnerable, what you consider precious, innocent, what it is that, makes you feel joy. All of those things are going to be targeted yet again, which is why I would say celebrate now while you can, because you're going to have to go back into the ring. And that applies for you, me, everybody. So that's one point. Another point is throughout the year, and I know I'm summarizing because I see these themes occur throughout the year. So there's no point saying on this date, on this date, on this date. They're just repeated occurrences. We also see the energy of Boracity, which is very strongly associated with the false light, come through on multiple occasions. It is basically aspecting at least two different moons or lunation cycles. And when Boracity comes into the picture, with the energy of old Pisces trying to co-opt the new energy that Aquarius wants to put forth, this year we got to be very careful in that, in the desire to do the work, in the desire to find the right people, meet the right people, do the right thing, we do not then engage with the false light and also the false light worker. I know people want to use the badge of light worker as some kind of shield that says, hey, I am beyond evil. I am in alignment with everything. Just because I call myself that makes it so. It does not. Because are you working with a light that is aligned with whatever you understand as divinity? Or are you working with something that looks like light but has its own agenda? That's the difference. So this year is going to be a real challenge in discernment because we are going to have this real and raw desire to move forwards and protect what needs to be protected. We're going to be looking for the people who can help us do that and whom we can actually help to do the same. And this is when our will and our desire needs to meet discernment. I mean, goodness knows there have been so many people I've met over the years, and they've spoken the language of the light, and they've had the rhetoric of the light. But when you look at their choices, when you look at the actual choices and how they have lived their lives, and I've had a very tough year. And for me, in 2020, and for me, I really knew and understood who was with me and who was really just talking the talk but not walking it based on their actions. And some of these people were people whom, had their own entire shining shield of armor just waiting to say, hey, I'm this and I'm that. And you're going to be finding a lot more of that in 2021. We're also going to be seeing a greater incidence of hijacking or co-optation, especially of traditional religious systems and beliefs. Aquarius has a way of wanting to push through with the world with its mental map of reality. And when it tries to use old systems and old technologies of control, Piscean era systems, it's going to say, but I'm going to use this to do a greater good. I'm going to use this technology or this ritual or this mantra or this system to affect a certain change. And despite their intentions, what they forget is that in 2021, you're actually going to be seeing a lot of astral forms of consciousness actually hijacking the tools that light workers use. So this is why I would actually say it is a year that requires absolute discernment. It's like, for those of you who are familiar with Harry Potter, I'd say the most useful character there is probably Mad-Eye Moody. Constant vigilance. That's honestly how I would say 2021. So there is this intense need for us to find the right groups of people, but be wanting to actually look at the difference between old Piscean energy trying to come back at us versus the energy and frequency of Aquarius. Because I find that a lot of light workers cannot tell the difference between Aquarius and Pisces. If I ask them, okay, what do you think about Aquarius? They go, but it's compassionate and it's love. And I'm like, so what do you think Pisces is? And they can't tell me the difference. Because when we look at the way people talk about the age of Aquarius, they're using Piscean rhetoric. They're using Piscean terminology. They're basically kind of glossing everything over to this unity field of oneness where everyone's just like there are no borders, everything has dissolved, and everything's just kumbaya. No, that is not what Aquarius is about. Like I said in a couple of videos past, one of the best, she didn't use it for that reason, but one of the best examples I can think of to symbolize the age of Aquarius is an image that I picked up from Shakti Gawain's Living in the Light. And she said, well, each individual has to, it is like you're part of a symphony. And each individual has to recognize that they have something that only they can do. They're playing a certain instrument, they're doing a certain thing. They don't need to compete with anybody else. They don't need to compare with anybody else. And when you find the right group of people to come together, all these voices organically turn into a harmony. There is no dissolution of self there. There is no sacrifice there. There is no martyrdom there. Not to make things even, I guess to make things even worse, we are seeing Thereus in Virgo right now. And in fact, right now we're already seeing Vesta and the North Node and the South Node and Venus and Neptune all come together in this grand mutable cross right now. So people are really, instead of focusing on the evolutionary possibilities that Aquarius can bring to find a new energetic language of what that might even look like, people are kind of being pulled back into these old patterns. It's Piscean, but everyone keeps telling you this is the new thing, and it's not. So this is the kind of things that spiritualists, light workers, energy sensitives, psychics need to be very, very, very aware of. Remember that Aquarius can build the kind of technology that can end world hunger, that can bring knowledge to the masses, but it's the same energy that can build the atomic bomb or nanites hidden in, I don't know, medicines and vaccines and whatnot. So you got to be really careful with what you're hyping up. So to be honest, 2021 for me is a year of it's a mixed bag. There are mixed blessings, there are mixed opportunities. There is no one narrative that's going to tell you, hey, everything's going to be okay. The best thing that we can do is focus on our will, be clear with what our hearts want, and to always be willing to ask the question, is this what I think it is? Is this going to lead me into a new path? Or am I walking towards something that's just recycling old karma in shiny new bottles? And the reason why I'm not jumping on the bandwagon and saying everything is going to be fine is because at the very end of the year, we're going to be seeing another sea change in energy next December 2021. We're going to be seeing the North Node shifting into Taurus, South Node into Scorpio. And that, my friends, is when shit is going to really hit the fans. So unless someone is really aligned and listening and still willing to do the work, this year is also an excellent year for those who want to engage in even more spiritual bypassing. But there will be a reckoning when the South Node moves through Scorpio. So really, it's up to you. If you want to use this year to kind of fill your heads, and I was asking my brother what message he had for the new year as well, and it's very similar to what I'm saying. It's if you want to like bury your head in the sand or just fill your head with, feel good thoughts and feel good ideas without actually doing something, this is a great year to do that. But at the same time, it's also a very powerful year to rise through the odds, not necessarily glorifying the struggle, but to rise through all of that density, all of that chaos, all of this myriad illusion to actually find something that is true. And that is when you know whether you are truly working with the light or something that's just a feel-good version of it. So really, if I had to sum up the year, in a couple of bite-sized captions, for me, the most hopeful energy comes through Uranus and Taurus. And of course, I'll be doing other videos on this, but I really just wanted to do this to give you a flavor and a tone of the year. Not too hyped and also not too downbeat. We are going to be seeing the Jupiter and Saturn squares to Uranus and Taurus. That will be a very powerful wake up call for everybody. I would say the hidden player of the year is Boracity. That's asteroids, or rather, number 66652. There's going to be a lot of plays of the false light upon the collective. We are going to, I mean, in fact, Thereus, at least we've already dealt with Thereus in Leo. We kind of know more or less how to protect ourselves and our loved ones in the way that we need. But it's basically just having the discipline to keep doing that. Now, if you were to ask me in terms of the tarot, for me, what energy sums up 2021, I would say it's going to have to be the Seven of Cups. There's so, and if for those of you who are not so much into the tarot, think about it as Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, if I'm remembering the right one correctly. And he's in the cave, and there are all of these chalices and goblets, and he has to pick the one that truly grants him immortality, as opposed to the thing that makes him feel like he's a royal or a king or whatever. And it's about choosing the right cup, choosing the right vessel for the energy of Aquarius to actually flow through. So, some of these dreams you will manifest, and some of these dreams you will look at and go, that kind of just looks like my ego talking there, you know? So, Seven of Cups is the way I would really summarize 2021. I would say, at a practical level, at a human level, the things to focus on are your heart and your gut. And with all of this high frequency energy coming in, it's very easy to go all space cadety and get lost in the stratosphere. That doesn't help. It really doesn't. It might make you feel very buzzed up and excited, but you're going to be coming crying in 2022 if you do. But basically, keep focused on this because that is your primary compass, or should be, and keep focused on the biological health of your gut, because I cannot overemphasize how important it is to maintain your digestive health, because that is something that actually grants you, I would say, in a parallel sense, not only biological immunity against many things, not only mental clarity, but also, I would say, a psychological layer of defense. So those are, at a human level, those are the two things that I would say, you need to look out for, you need to watch out for. Generally speaking, with Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius for much of the year, it is the kind of, well, Saturn's always going to be in Aquarius. Jupiter kind of flits in and out of Aquarius, Pisces, Aquarius for a little bit. But I would say it's a fantastic year to really come together and find ways to make those visions happen. Technology can be your friend, but please back up your files. If you are doing financial transactions or having like sensitive stuff, maybe get a VPN or find different platforms that actually support your work. So, you want to have that down. You want to also look at ways you can actually expand your mind and access higher consciousness, but in a way that is still very much grounded with your heart. Because one of the things I also see is this tendency for people to disassociate very easily. Heart-based awareness and heart-based consciousness is not necessarily something that makes quantum leaps. It's not necessarily something that's always going to be exciting all of the time. And when we are looking for excitement and stimulation, which sometimes Aquarius does crave, it's easy to just kind of go for the short-term buzz as opposed to something that is a lot more meaningful. And that's why I say very, very carefully, ground it back to the heart. If you have kids, pets, individuals that you deeply love in your life, the first 8 months of the year, that also includes yourself and your creativity and your projects, the first 8 months of the year, you need to be there. You need to show up and protect what is important to you. And that also means protecting your heart. In terms of gemstone recommendations, I would highly recommend green obsidian. Green obsidian is something that can very much help you push away unwanted attachments from the heart. It is also something that can give you a lot of clarity, especially if you're still struggling with that question of discernment. That would be my gem recommendation of the year, hands down. Hands down, green obsidian. I would also say that Let's see, in terms of essential oils, and if you use essential oils, please look at contraindication. Don't just drop, a couple of drops on your baby or your pets because someone said it online. It's a very, very potent stuff. So if in terms of essential oils, honestly, I would say something very grounding, very earthy, something that can bring you back to balance. For some of you, that's going to be vetiver. For others, it might be patchouli. There are a whole other bunch of things that some of you might like. What is the name of that thing? Benzoin, that's another good one. So those are things that can just basically bring you back to your body, especially when you feel like you're flying out of there. Grounding practices are very, very important, especially if you're an air sign. Here we go. Black Shinpak says cedar. Yes, thank you. Cedar is another very good one. Now, I would say one of the things that you want to remember, especially if you're an air sign, is grounding, grounding, grounding. If you take this energy and you disassociate it, you're going to end up creating more of a problem. It's one of the reasons why people who are around at the time don't really glorify Atlantis. That's pretty much what happens when you take Aquarian technology, mix it with shit, and it blows up. So no, you want to stay here throughout the year. But yeah, I would say in terms of a general overview, that is what I wanted to say. Remember, put your best foot forward between now to February 18, especially. This is prime time for you to network and do what you need to do and find the right people that is right for you. And yeah, just make the most of the opportunity you have and don't romanticize shit because that will bite you in the ass at some point or another. So having said that, I'm now going to look at the community. Now, yes, I probably will be doing more videos with more of the numerical details and dates, but really, if you want that stuff, you need to join my Tier 23 program because I got to value my work and that's where it's at. Those of you who are also interested in sessions with me, you can also book that. Session bookings are open. The website is www.theskypriestess.as.me. It's very simple for you to find. So now let me look at who's here. What are we doing here? Hang on. Hello, Souls Old. Hello, Candy. Hello, Goddess. Hello, Luna and Lex and Puppy. Hello, Michelle. Hello, Dawn. Hello, Dixie. Hello, Catherine. Hello, For Curiosity. Hello, Dr. Vidya N. Hello, Stray Panther. Hello, Soul Walker. Hello, Black Shin Pact. Hello, Sohail. Sohail is a dear friend. Hello, Charlotte. Let's see, who else do we have here? Well, that's who we seem to have for now. Oh, here we go. Hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on. And we got a few more here. Hello, Daphne. Hello, Anak Singapura. Hello, Belinda. Hello, Katya. Um, Lovely to see all of you. Let's take some questions now. Belinda says, what are your thoughts about those who have lies, abuse, deceive? What are the consequential karmic expressions they will happen? I think at this time it's very important to note that the system of divine justice and karma is a lot more complicated than, you do something bad happens. Because if you do anything to do with shamanic work, past line work, ancestral work, you kind of see how the same individuals tend to have the same soul patterns over and over again. And rather than being diminished, as is what most people tell you, they seem to be accumulating more power and more ability to do evil over time. So I would say it's not as straightforward as, oh, you're going to do bad, something bad's going to happen to you. I would say that these people then end up taking some kind of roles, some kind of roles whereby they become a focal point for more negative collective energies. And it has to kind of build up to some kind of epic critical climax moment where that energy is finally somehow dealt with, because it's really not that straightforward. What I would say is, and what I see is, the more a person is in spiritual attunement with Source, the more directly they can see their immediate reactions or immediate repercussions of their actions. And in some sense, I find that the clearer you are with your source frequency, with your source connection, the more direct and the more immediate that cause and flow is. For people who are working with deception and delusion and whatnot, I think they're setting themselves up for a much harder fall, which you may or may not see in this lifetime. So let's see. Okay. Anak Singapura says for the strong smelling essential oils like vetiver, remember you can always mix with florals and citruses. Yes, good point. Also remember to check if you've got cats, citrus doesn't work. Um, Katya says, hello, Doctor, Happy New Year. I'm part of your tier 23, but I still love your hello neighbors. Thank you so much. I mean, they both do different things. Hannon, oh my goodness, Hannon Leidenheim. Hannon is a young man that I met when I was traveling in the United States, had an instant connection. I was probably his grandmother in a previous life. Hannon loves bees. I hope the beekeeping is going well. Say hi to your mom for me. Truth is Alchemy says, feeling the pearls. Good, good. Katya says, as an Aquarius, what can I personally do to usher in this era's energy in a more digestible way for the collective? Um, let's see. Really depends, honey. I would just say go do you. Whatever you feel motivated to do, just go do you, and the right people will find you. The moment you try to bring yourself down because you want to appeal to the masses, you're already lost sight of whatever it is that you're doing. Soul Walker goes, why would you want to come back in this world? It's a damn good question. My brother is smiling. It's a damn good question. VB, hello, Dr. V. Hi, VB. How are you? How has your new year been? How's your new year been? I hope you've had something nice to celebrate about. We are doing our best. We've been singing songs. We finally were singing some Queen songs yesterday and looking at the lyrics going, maybe, maybe we should have chosen something else. Black Shinfax says, we have a first row ticket to Kali's Dance of Destruction. Yeah, this is funny you should mention that. This is why I don't like the Hindu pantheon a lot. See, the way it's marketed, right? You talk about Kali's Dance of Destruction and whatever. But what people forget to tell you is, as part of the myth, what happens is Shiva drops his earring and he uses his leg to lift it up. So his balls are shown. So apparently Kali, Mahakali, looks at that and feels embarrassed. And then she loses her role in the dance. Patriarchal bullshit. Absolute bullshit. But anyway, that's a different thing. I've been to the sites where the so-called dances have happened. Let's just say she's not happy with that story. But let's see. Miss Jackwell says, Happy New Year, Sky Priestess. Thank you so much. I wish you a Happy New Year as well. Anak Singapura says, who wants to live forever? Who does? Who does? Lantern Hill Morgan says, Happy New Year, and to you and Pirate Cat. VB says, I am good, but just ate a nice dinner and slept. That is a great thing to do. Self-care, self-love, you know, sometimes making a change in this world isn't about doing something great and out there. Sometimes it's literally telling all of the bullshit collective energy that has told you that you are not worth joy, you are not worth happiness, to tell all of those collective energies to just F off and have a nice time. That is also valuable collective work and valuable collective change. When you are someone who has been told to sacrifice your happiness for others a lot of the time, taking that space back is also how you shift your energy. It's not just about these big cosmic explosions in the sky. Um, Here we go. Belinda says, I love your earrings, pearl, so profound. Oh, you meant the pearl earrings. Okay, I got you now. Anak Singapura says, Kali, goddess of destruction, faced by balls. I know, right? It's ridiculous, but that's the story. Um, Let's see. BB says, Happy New Year, Dr. B and everyone. Thank you. Sharon M says, hello, dear Sky Priestess. All the best for 2021 and to you and to you. BB says, I have to say many people here, irrespective of gender, are very patriarchal. I absolutely agree with you. You know, patriarchy is not going to work unless women are supporting the men doing it. They cannot do it by themselves. Especially if you're Indian, mother-in-law. That's all you have to say, mother-in-law, and you will know. So Walker says, oh, here we go. Vivi says, unfortunately, I have to say I have encountered women also highly patriarchal. Definitely. I have no doubt. I have no doubt about that. So Walker says, patriarchal means you support the government. Yes, yes. It's certainly part of that. It's certainly part of that. But that's not the main thing. But yes, you know, governments all over the world are structured in deeply patriarchal ways, but that's not the only space where you would find that. And yes, Black Shin Pact is also referencing that. So in terms of the year 2021, what else do we have to cover? Like I said, I'll be doing more stuff where I give you more details and whatnot, but obviously most of it is going to be in tier 23. But still, you're going to get what you need. In terms of key spiritual lessons, in terms of like a summary of stuff, I've already provided that. Because you know what I'm like. If I can give you the kernel of it, if I can give you a gist of it, you already have what you need. Katya says if a government was truly egalitarian, then we wouldn't call it patriarchal. Correct. I mean, I have issues with patriarchy. I have issues with matriarchy. Personally, I have issues with the word archy. That is the ability to have power over. But anyway, Galaxy Pink, what's some useful practices I can do to feel and absorb less energy around me? Intention, intention, intention. A lot of the time, psychics, especially psychics who have something to do in the world, they get co-opted by the fact that they're so hypersensitive, and they forget their own role and ability in being able to say yes or no to that. So honestly, it is literally your first protocol, I would say, needs to be talking to your guides or whatever you understand as divinity and say, you know what, honey bunches, I need you to lower this so I can get shit done. And that honestly works. That honestly works. Give that a go. Literally, so much of the way you interact with the spiritual universe is through your will and your choice. And, most of us don't live on free will. Most of us are living out the will of other people, the will of the collective. We suddenly, because we read the words, we suddenly say, I have free will. No, we're not. A lot of us, just still go on the old karmic plans of others, whether it's their culture, whether it's a tradition, but actual free will is about reclaiming that space and recognizing that you are an autonomous being who has the right to renegotiate contracts. That's another big theme of the year, I would say. Belinda, what are your thoughts about children born this year? Same as children born any other year. Raise them well. Daphne says, what can I do to let go to meditate? I have trouble meditating. For a lot of people, they get into this box of meditation is you sitting somewhere and stilling your mind, and that's meditation. But really, it doesn't have to be that way. Meditation is something that you can have no matter what you're doing, even if you're doing the dishes, if you're dancing, you're painting, hell, even when you're sitting in the toilet. It's the kind of energy where it's a state of awareness that flows through all things. So if you allow meditation to also be expressed in a more dynamic form, then you will not be forced into that I have to do this in a certain way. I hope that helps. Let's see. Michelle asks, besides your own intuition and intelligence, how do you personally use the highest discernment? Can you rephrase the question for me? Because I'm like, yeah, that is already working with the highest discernment. But rephrase the question for me. I'd be happy to answer it. VB says, will polarization increase? That's what I feel concerned. Absolutely, yes, my friend. Polarization is going to increase because more and more people are going to want to find themselves, and more and more people are not going to want to find themselves, and they're going to want to hide. So yes, that is going to be happening, which is why you need to find your community. Truth is Alchemy says, I enjoy anarchy in theory and find it a path to understanding self-governing. That's a very good starting place. Belinda says, can you expand on what you just said about contracts? What do you mean this year? This year, as any year, when it comes to children, raise them well. It doesn't matter what year it is, raise them well. What you said about contracts, this is a theme that I have spoken of a lot, but I would say you may want to do some research on your own first in dissolving soul contracts and basically reclaiming your sense of agency in doing so. That may be better for you to look that up yourself, because I don't want to detract this conversation from that, but there's material out there. Michelle says, what particular tools assist you to, tools, okay, to use the highest discernment? Any particular practices? I kind of just feel into shit. I just sit with it and I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Or it doesn't look right. Or I don't feel comfortable with this. And then I think about it. That's it. That's honestly what you need. You don't need anything else. Anyone who tells you otherwise is trying to sell you something. Soul's Old says, is it okay to feel the need to disconnect from family and friends this time due to them not being on the same path? It is necessary for you to do that. See, a lot of people are trying to be very nice. They're trying to be, but it's love and light, everybody. We've all got to get together, but you got to understand that, it's the kind of energy which, if you're not walking on the same road at this time, even if you feel you can kind of make a compromise and a middle ground, I can guarantee you in the next few years that decision will come to kick you in the pants. Because we're looking at Saturn in Aquarius now, and everyone's really excited. Come Saturn in Pisces, you're going to be looking at all of everyone's psychic fields hitting you at the same time, and you trying to go and maintain your boundaries. Do yourself a favor and focus on what is your truth. Michelle says, I felt it was your intuition, yet wondered, yes, through lol. I wouldn't even call it intuition. I literally just sit and look at shit. That's all I do. It's just, I'm like, hmm, that's about it. That's my deep discernment phase. So, Rosa says, Happy New Year, Sky Priestess. Thank you for guiding us all. I do my best. I absolutely do my best. And, I hope that the work reaches the right way. Katya says, do you have experience in cord cutting with soulmates? If so, what is the most effective way to do it? Personally, I would say cord cutting is like the cherry on top. You can cord cut till the cows come home, but if your emotions for this person and the karma that you have with this person is still unresolved, you'll just have to keep redoing it. So focus on your emotions first and find clarity in that. Then try to go for cord cutting. Saul's Old says, I feel guilty, but I know they aren't on the same path. Honey, you're a soul. Just because you're born into a certain family now, a certain time, a certain space now, this is not the entirety of your experience. You're a soul that came from a very old place, and that applies to everybody. When you remember what that soul is here to do, that guilt will ease. Let's see. Belinda says, love and light when it comes to toxic family members. Run, run, toxic is toxic. I have to agree. I mean, Ixion the Tyrant is going to be in Capricorn for a lot of 2021, and we are going to be seeing a lot more sociopathic, flat out pathological expressions coming from family of origin and government. So we are going to actually be seeing a lot of stuff coming up. Let's see. Dr. Vidya N says alternative of for green obsidian to protect the heart. I would say Amazonite is pretty good. Amazonite is pretty good. Yeah, for you, definitely Amazonite. But yeah, do we have any more questions? Do we have any more questions? Waiting, waiting. No, I think we're good. So yes, here is your very grounded to reality, to the point, expression of what's coming up in 2021. Lots of opportunity, lots of potential to make changes, also plenty of opportunities to fuck up with your own delusions. So as long as you remember the two are present and just keep looking at things and figuring them out step by step, bit by bit, you're likely to be able to make a greater change in the collective. Of course, there's a lot more that can be said, but at the human level, I would say this is the most important thing. So with that, I send all of you much love, very, very many blessings. And I hope that all of you navigate this year with courage and compassion, not just for somebody else out there who's screaming for it, but for yourself first. With that, signing off. Cha-cha for now. Bye-bye.